Hello everybody, my name is Olena Palatnik and I'm the regulated Canadian immigration consultant. We have been providing immigration services for the last 15 years and trying to answer all your questions related to immigration to Canada. And today this video is going to be dedicated to Morden immigration program. This program has been established 2012 and it has been very successful during all the time. There are a lot of advantages of this program, and as long as we get a lot of requests connected directly to this program, today we are going to answer these questions to make it clear for you whether you do have chances to submit an application for permanent residency to Canada under Morden community-driven immigration initiative, or what should be done in order to improve your chances, and how this program works, what steps it has, and whether this pathway is really suitable for you and your family, and what is Morden in general, like whether this city will satisfy you if you come really to live in this city. So first and foremost, what you have to know about Morden is that this is the only city in Canada that has its own immigration initiative, which actually means that this is the only city that can assist you and support your application in the immigration process. There are no other cities in Canada elsewhere that can do that right away, right now. There are projects that may open different cities to this perspective, but so far we only have Morden here that has everything that is needed to you specifically in order to submit an application and due to the support of Morden City be able to get to Canada and live in Morden. A lot of people each year arrive to Morden as permanent residents due to the support of the city, and we are talking about the great multicultural community. We have people here from all Russian-speaking countries, Mexico, Brazil, Philippines, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. We have a lot of people from Africa here, so everybody actually has the same equal chances. It's just a matter of satisfying the requirements of the city, of the province, and of the federal government in order to succeed in this program. There are a lot of people who come to Morden and then leave. That is why there is a great emphasis when the city selects and reviews your application in the first stage when you submit it. It is very important for you to make the city understand that you literally want to live in the city and not to use this as a pathway to get to Canada. Because in other words, actually, when you get the permanent resident status in Canada, you have the right to live anywhere in Canada. You can work anywhere in Canada, no matter what province or district or community has supported you before. What Morden wants from you is to be very sure that you want to be a part of exactly Morden community because you've been selected for Morden. And Morden only will select you if they see that you have great chances in order to get economically established, specifically in Morden, not even closer cities to it. They will assess your experience, education, level of language, and what is different from other programs, they will also consider if you're a family, your spouse, and your kids, how they can be of benefit and asset to the city, and what the city can provide your family with, whether there is enough things in the city like recreation, employment, facilities, stuff like that in the city, so that your family is satisfied, and there is a very low chance that you're gonna leave the city in the nearest perspective. The majority of newcomers that arrive to Morden nowadays, they realize that Morden is a luxury place. This is a special place comparing to other cities of Canada. And the main reason is that the city of Morden is very professional and specialized in settling newcomers. As long as since 2012, so many people from different countries have been continuously arriving to Morden, the city already knows what to do with your children, how to make their English better and improve it in no time, how assist you in your employment so that you get your work also quite fast in order to cover all your expenses, how to assist you in getting additional funds, how to register for a child tax benefit, how to assist you in opening bank account. And usually in other cities you have to do it yourself. Here in Morden, the city volunteers, the city coordinators help you and assist you everywhere. They take you like with their hands and bring you to each and every place that you need, starting from taxation, banking, real estate agents, everyone, so that you don't make a step alone and you are very much supported. In this occasion, this is a unique city. That is why a lot of people who come here stay here, and they keep like that. I mean, like some people come, stay for a long time, and themselves become volunteers who assist further other people who arrive as newcomers, and this circle is never ending. That is why when you consider arriving to any part of Canada, first consider Morden, because this city is made towards immigrants. It's a kind of immigration incubator where they help you to become Canadian, not to make stupid mistakes in the very beginning of your road, where they protect your rights, where everyone is trying to help you in any case, in any matter. And people around Morden are very, very friendly. Even if you don't know someone in the city, you will have an opportunity to get to know them, and you will see that everybody is looking forward to help you, to make friends with you, to spend more time with you, to invite you to their house. This is really a unique thing. And what is also interesting is that everybody in the city of Morden is saying hi to you in the street, and this makes it a really friendly community. Frankly speaking, I also live in Morden City, and I have opened my own business in Morden City, and I know a lot of people who also come not only like employees to get employed in Morden and stay as employed workers in the city, but also as business investors and entrepreneurs. And the atmosphere of assisting business people to open their own ventures in the city is brilliant. Everybody is assisting you. You can get a consultation, you can get advice from everybody who has ever had any experience with opening the business. And for sure, Canada is always trying to make it easier for you to open your own business. It's also important to note that when you come as a permanent resident to Canada, even if you have submitted your application and applied as an economical immigrant, means that you have an intent to work for an employer. But then when you come and start living in Canada, and in Morden specifically, you may decide to open your own business and become self-employed. And that's okay. You can do this because this is absolutely legal, and the permanent resident status gives you that right. And in Morden, it's much easier to open your own business because the community is pretty small. Your expenses won't be very much high. And you can assess the demand. You can try your project on Morden, and I know a lot of people that have started from Morden and then they have multiplied their business to different communities elsewhere in other provinces and cities of Canada, and it was very successful. Actually, the city is so supportive that the mayor of the city of Morden meets with everyone who comes to Morden, with every newcomer, and he also has a special day once a week when you, as a simple person that lives in the city, can come to him to take an advice, to communicate, to make friends, to invite him to your house. So this makes it very equal, and you will feel it, that there is no difference between you and the mayor of the city or anyone else, and everybody's trying to support you the way it is. Moreover, the expenses of starting your life in Morden quite good. I mean, like, if to compare, if you have started your life in Vancouver or Toronto, any other big city, that could be very expensive, especially from the very beginning. Morden is different with it. Not saying that they are supporting you from all sides, they're trying to save your expenses in the first place. They have a lot of opportunities to save funds just because the community is small. You don't have transportation expenses so far. You have very good prices for houses. A lot of people usually come, start working, and in a half a year they can already purchase their own house in the city, which is a great sign that the city is really perspective and easy to settle down during your first year or two in Canada. So speaking about the program requirements, you will see that there is first requirement is your work experience. You must have a proper 2-year out of last 5 years work experience in specific professions and occupations that are in demand in the city of Morden and are in the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program occupation in demand list. But apart from that, you should also think how you personally can be of asset to the city. Because this is what you have to prove, that you are useful to the city. And to do that, the best idea is to Google and search all possible information about the city, to dig very deep into the community, into what it has, what employers may be potentially interested in you, why they may be potentially interested in you, what can you offer, what is so special about your work experience that will touch them and they will agree to employ you at some point. It is also quite important to realize from the first step before you submit the application to the city whether your occupation is regulated or not. Because if your occupation is regulated, you must think twice before submitting your application. You must realize that Morden is a small city. We have 12,000 people approximately of population. It's 1.5 hour route from the Winnipeg, capital of Manitoba. So the city has specific limits of your opportunities. For example, if we speak about regulated occupations such as engineers, physicians, lawyers, you must understand that Morden will probably never consider your application successfully just because when you come, if you come as a permanent resident, being a lawyer or an engineer with a perspective of working in the same occupation in Canada, you will have to leave Morden in order to get your license in engineering, get your license as a lawyer, and etc. And for that, you will have to go to some bigger city, for example, Winnipeg or elsewhere. So when Morden sees that you have such skills that are not adaptable in the territory of Morden just physically because there are no facilities there to get you to the license, they will probably consider your application negatively. So in order to succeed with your application, the first thing you should know is that your occupation must not be regulated. You can see the National Occupation Classification website. You can Google that and find out whether your occupation specifically is regulated or not. And if your occupation is not regulated, which actually means that as soon as you arrive to Canada as permanent resident, and in Morden specifically, the next day you can go and start working and everything's gonna be fine. You don't need any kind of permits, licenses, other regulatory qualification documents. Just come and work. It can be a welder, a painter, a retail worker, a cook, a food service supervisor, restaurant manager. All these and many more are not regulated, and they will bring you to a successful employment in Morden, and therefore you're able to submit your application and anticipate a successful result in it. If presently you don't have work experience that is required by the city and by the province, but you really want to live in Morden, you can either submit your application to any other program, the requirements of which you do satisfy, or you can just gain the experience that is needed by the city and submit your application in 2 years after today. When you gain the work experience that is needed, there is also a risk that the occupation will be removed from the list of specially needed. But if you analyze the occupation list, you will see that the most needed occupations usually stay there for very, very long time and they don't go anywhere. So you can try to change your career now in your home country to get the work experience that is needed by the city and submit your application at a later stage. You may submit your application to the Morden city by two means and two streams that exist today. First of them is quite popular right now. This is Manitoba Human Capital Pathway, and another one is Manitoba Express Entry Pathway. So they are different in the requirements towards you. So we will start with Express Entry Pathway, which talks by its name, means in order to submit your application to the city of Morden and to the province of Manitoba, you must have an active Express Entry profile in the federal system. If you don't know what is Express Entry profile and what is the federal skilled worker class, we may probably dedicate some time in order to enlighten you in our next video, or you can just order a consultation to evaluate your chances personally. Contact us and we will explain you what is this program about. So for Manitoba Express Entry Pathway, you must get the Express Entry profile, and this program is suitable for those who have skills connected with intellectual activity. Means everything managerial, very highly skilled, will never be submitted to Morden without Express Entry profile active. Everything connected with skill trades, technical skill trades, like welders, painters, construction workers, something like that, cook as well, baker. These people are so much in demand that for them there is a special pathway which is called Human Capital Pathway Manitoba. And in this occasion, the difference is that you don't need to have an express entry profile. You just need to have a specific requirement of the language proficiency satisfaction, and you have to submit your application specifically to the Morden city. You avoid the step of express entry. There is also a great difference between express entry pathway and the Human Capital Pathway in the number of months that the process may take. So when we talk about express entry pathway, the process may usually take, let's say, 8 to 12 maybe months at maximum, while the Human Capital Pathway for technical skilled professionals, it may take up to 2.5 years sometimes. So it's a little bit longer. But in the majority of cases, you don't have that choice, like whether to submit an application through express entry or a Human Capital Pathway. It's either or. If you do have this choice, for sure you are recommended to go through express entry because it's much faster. The other serious difference between Human Capital Pathway and Express Entry is in order to get an Express Entry profile, you most probably will need your IELTS, English Language Testing System, examination certificate in English with the points not less than 6.0 for listening, reading, writing, and speaking. This is for Express Entry or higher, depending on the overall score that you get for your work experience, education, and other factors. In Human Capital Pathway, in order to submit your application as a technical skilled occupation professional, you need at least 5.0 per each module of IELTS exam, and which is much lower. And on this occasion, you can submit your application straight to the city. Your express entry profile must also satisfy the requirement of Manitoba requirements in terms of the occupation. So when you go to the Manitoba website, you will see that there is a pretty cool, long list of occupations which are in demand nowadays. And it is edited from time to time. The last edition was on May 16, 2019, and several occupations were removed. For some occupations, the level of English was raised a little bit, and for some was made lower. But anyway, in most positions, it stays the same since 2015. And you will see that there are approximately 130 occupations out there. I'm sure that you can find yourself there. And then you look whether it is a skill level that is okay for technical skill trades like welder, painter, something that you do with your hands. Then you can submit your application with 5.0 to Morden. If you see that your occupation is of higher level, any kind of managerial position, or IT or computer network technician, something like that, then you must submit your application first to get your express entry profile active to satisfy all the requirements of federal skilled worker class, and only then you have the right to submit your application to Morden program and be considered for this initiative. Sometimes when you submit your application to Morden, you forget about the most important document from our point of view. This is a submission letter. This is a cover letter where you explain in the most colorful words that you can use in English why you think that Morden City is good for you and why you think that you can be of asset to the city. The submission letter is a document the city pays much attention to, and they want to see and understand how you came to the conclusion that actually you want to live in the city and not just to use the program as a pathway to get a permanent resident status. This is quite complicated to find information out there in the internet about how to write this kind of letter, and in each case that would be different. So please just don't copy paste if you find anything like that, because we have only one immigration coordinator in the city of Morden, and she has an understanding when you speak from your own bottom of your heart and when you speak from copy paste something. So please think about yourself, think deeply and think consciously about whether really you think that the city of Morden is good for you. Why is that so? Why is it good for your kids? Or if it is not good for you and you feel it and you Google mapped it and went through the online walk at the city streets and you saw that this is not the place for you, just quit it. There are a lot of other pathways. We have more than 70 immigration programs to Canada that you can use in order to get permanent resident status and live anywhere. But if you do like Morden and would like to live there and you see that you're satisfied the majority of the requirements of the program, make your research. Make yourself feel as if you're already in the city and you're living here. What are you doing? Where do you have your vacation? How do you spend your free time? Where do you work? How much funds do you spend for your living? What is your spouse doing? What are your kids doing? What friends do they have? Answer yourself to all these questions. Write it down in the submission letter and you will have a success. So what steps will you have when considering a Morden immigration program? Firstly, you have to collect all the documents connected to the application. You submit it electronically to the city of Morden, and the city of Morden usually takes around 1 month in order to assess your candidature. And if they are interested in you, they will invite you for the Skype interview. The Skype interview is one of the most important steps in the process because this is a live interview with the immigration coordinator. You will get a lot of questions connected with your autobiography, with your experience, background, everything, your perspectives of living, and you must be very well prepared to this interview in order to succeed. If you pass interview well, in a couple of weeks after that, you will get the response. It may be a refusal or it may be a bingo, the invitation for the mandatory exploratory visit to the city of Morden whenever you want it, but for you to understand that the process will not go further until you accomplish the exploratory visit to the city of Morden. If you live in the visa-free country, means that in order to get to Canada as visitor, you don't need a submission of the visitor visa application, and you can get, for example, electronic travel authorization, then the process is much easier for you, because on this occasion you just pick the time when you want to come to Morden, you tell about it to the city, and the city will anticipate your arrival in order to organize you this visit, to give you excursions, the meeting with the city mayor, meeting with potential employers, with real estate agents, with locals, with regional connections, with settlers here, everything. So you just need to inform the city when you come, and you do it on your own expense. I mean, the flight and accommodations and stay. You must stay in the city at this visit not less than 1 week. 5 working days usually is enough. If you are from the visa country, it means that in order to get to Canada as visitor, you need to get a visitor visa. Then first you have to submit your application to the government of Canada to get your visitor visa. And it is not always obvious and guaranteed that just because you have a city invitation for the exploratory visit, you will be easily granted the visitor visa to Canada. No, it doesn't work like that. You must satisfy the officer that will review your visitor visa application that you will absolutely leave Morden at the end of your stay and return back home. It is not always that they issue the visa from the first time, even when you are invited by the city and the normal person understands that you are not going to breach the law and stay illegally in Canada, because this is just a part of your very successful immigration process, but still they do refuse. So your application for a visitor visa must be very strong in order to get the visitor visa at the end, because if you don't get it, you are not able to arrive to Morden for the exploratory visit, and Morden is not able further to support your application. When you come, when you accomplish the visit, only then the process goes further and continues the way it should be. If you're not granted the visitor visa to Canada for several times, and for example, we see that you don't have any more chances to get this visitor visa, then it is a good idea to find another immigration pathway that does not require from you any kind of visits, any kind of submissions of temporary resident visas to Canada. The visit is not just a vacation that you come to see the city and stuff like that. It is, but this is done because there is a requirement that at the end of your exploratory visit, you will be scheduled a final immigration interview with an immigration officer of Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program in Winnipeg. And it will be a long interview, and you will have to have all papers with you, all the document package that is to be submitted further at later stages, and the officer will review your documents, interview you, and then the province of Manitoba will make a decision whether your candidature is suitable for the program. You will get a reply on whether the government of Manitoba has decided to invite you to submit an application for the nomination in the next couple of weeks after you arrive from the exploratory visit to Morden. And then, if your application is successful, you will be able to submit your expression of interest profile to Manitoba, subsequently gain the opportunity to upload all the documents into your MPNP account profile. You will have to pay the processing fee of the government of Manitoba, and then the next from 2 to 4 months you will probably get your nomination, and from that point you will be able to submit your application for the permanent residency of Canada to the federal government. It may take from 6 to 15 or 20 months sometimes. In the majority of cases, the federal stage may take approximately 1 year. It also depends on the country where you're applying from, on the number of countries you have lived in for more than 6 months since the age of 18. There are a lot of factors that make the process longer or shorter, but the average is 12 months from the moment that you have submitted the permanent residency federal application. The end of the process in the paper-based application is usually a medical check. In the express entry profile system, you will be able to upload all documents after the nomination is received. You will have 60 days for that, and you will have to undergo medical examination before submitting your express entry application for the permanent residency in full. And the process in 80% of cases, it usually takes up to 6 months to finalize it, and you will get your permanent resident status, immigrant visas, and welcome to the city of Morden. The great advantage of Morden program is also that it is opened annually, regularly, all the time. It is not a kind of program that is opened for a specific period of time and then closed, and you have a risk of not getting in time your application. In this occasion, the city is open all the time. You can submit your application any month, but you must remember that there is a limit of application that city can accept and grant their invitation towards the support of your application annually. Usually they take no more than 50 families per year, so the demand is pretty high, and you must be absolutely sure that your application is brilliant, that everything in your application is exclusive, and your application speaks by itself to the coordinator of immigration of Morden City to make it easier to make the right decision that your application is good and that your candidature will benefit in the city of Morden. So as you can see, there are a lot of moments in this program where you must spend a lot of time analyzing, researching, finding information, finding the correct words and sentences in order to prove that this program is good for you. There are a lot of stages of this program. You first and foremost need to submit the initial application to the Morden City. Then there is a visitor visa, most probably application to get for the exploratory visit. Then you have the immigration interview in Manitoba at the final one. Then you have your expression of interest Manitoba level registration. Then you have your full MPNP application. And then after that you will have your federal level application. A bunch of documents, bunch of questions, millions of stupid mistakes. We for sure are here, as you may understand, to make your application as strong as possible, to consult you through the process. There are people that come to us and ask to cover the whole process so that don't make any mistakes in it, and we do that. There are people that have their application ready to submit, but they just want us to double check whether they have not made any mistakes. You're welcome to do that as well. Sometimes this is the very best idea because maybe you have enough skills, you know English very well, you have dipped enough deep in the Morden City, in Manitoba and federal government legislation in order to assess your application. You have already prepared the application for Morden, but you have doubts whether it is perfect enough. So you can send this application to us. We will see what we can do. We will read your application as if we are considering your application towards Morden, and we will give you our advice, recommendations, and correct the mistakes in your application, making it better, improving it in all ways. Or if it is perfect, we will just tell you, go with it, this is perfect. We can also be of asset to you if you would like us to intrude in the middle of the process. You may already have submitted your application, been invited for the interview, you would like to get prepared, a consultation about preparation to the interview of Morden or final interview in Winnipeg, you're welcome. You would like us to organize your exploratory visit to Morden, you're welcome to request this type of service, or you would like the provincial nomination. We can provide you an A to Z services connected with the whole process or with just a particular part of the service, whatever makes you easier and better, whatever you like. And please don't forget that actually there are more than 70 immigration pathways and programs to Canada. So Morden is not the only one for you. All the programs have different requirements of your work experience, of the level of English, which may start from 4.5 IELTS and up to 9 and 7 and 7.5. So it's just a matter of right strategic planning of your immigration process. The best idea for you is just to evaluate your chances under all 70 plus immigration programs and initially select the optimal pathway, the easiest one, the one that saves your time and funds. And when you find this right pathway among all those possible opportunities, then the process will be quite transparent and the process will be much easier to go through and finalize with successful result. You can do it yourself, or you can also contact us in order to assess your chances under all programs. We work with all Canada. What we do is take all your background information, assess your level of English, and go through all program requirements, through all our contacts, and negotiate with all the parties in order to realize whether your candidature suits this or that program. Sometimes there is an employer included into the process, and there is an employer support. That can be a community support, that can be a new program, the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot, that covers 11 cities of Canada, which is also a good option. That can be just an express entry, self-employed, business, investor programs. There are so many of them that there is always a choice for you, and there is always a result which comes with the right decision on the initial definition of the program that is the best for you. Below this video, you will find our website, email address, WhatsApp, Viber, Messenger, Facebook, Instagram, everything. You can contact us anywhere, and we will do our best in order to service you at the highest level. We would like also to emphasize that we are quite a big team located in Canada and in Europe, Ukraine. Now, we have more than 15 employees and staff that coordinate and work with your documents and with yourself and your family. Everything that is done in team. It is not that you have just hired the professional immigration consultant like us and forgot about your immigration documents. It never happens. The most important thing for you to remember that this is your immigration. My and our company's idea is to make the process clear, understandable, and easy for you, but you will have to participate in each and every step because you are the only one who knows yourself better. Our mission is to make the process easier, to help you avoid any kind of mistake, because sometimes you even don't know that that's a mistake, and we will just tell you that it is. We will try to make the process smoother for you. We will provide you and share with you all the contacts of people in Manitoba and Morden that we know that are there to help you and assist you in your settlement, to make friends with you, to give you more information, to prepare you for the interview and stuff like that. So this is a teamwork of our staff, of our professional experience, which was accumulated during the last 15 years, and your devotion and wish to immigrate to Canada. Together we can do it easily. It may take sometimes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, but together it's much easier than when you are all alone. Thank you for your time watching us, and if you have any additional questions, you can leave your questions in the comments.